Hi entrepreneurs, I'm Kevin and you're in for a treat today because I'm going to share with you my tips from the classic book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Now, of course, if you're an entrepreneur, this is a crucial skill for you to have as you try to make deals, build relationships, to get your business to succeed. Now, without further ado, let's dive right into my top 4 tips from this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And tip number 1 is that it's not worth it to try to win an argument most of the time. Because you have to think about it, what's the point, right? If you try really hard, win the argument, criticize the other person, put them down and make them feel bad, do you actually succeed in anything except boosting your own ego? Like you may feel good, like pat yourself on the back and say, yeah, I won this argument. But if you're trying to influence behavior change or getting them to change their mind to your way of thinking, then that's not the way to go. Because that's not the way to build any goodwill. Just because you won the argument, they could still be in denial and just refuse to accept that or hate you for the way that you told it to them. So this is a very important lesson. If your ultimate goal is to get genuine behavior change and to convince people of your way, winning the argument at all costs, it's not the way to go. That's a lose-lose situation if you really think about it. And this is especially hard if you do it with people who are close to you, like your close friends and your family members, because then ego is a really big part of the problem. And you oftentimes have to try really hard to take a step back, bite your tongue, and just wait and chill out before you jump into the conversation with them. Whereas sometimes, for me especially, I might have a hot head and just want to tell them they're wrong and berate them and make them feel bad. But this truly works. I've tried it out in my life for various things, from colleagues to business peers to people close to me, and it really works. Trust me, you gotta try it out. But like I said, it could be super hard sometimes. So this is not an easy task, even though I know it works. Tip number 2 is when communicating with people, try to let them do most of the talking. Because many times when you're just blabbering on and trying to get all your thoughts out, in their mind, they're like, I wanna speak too, and they just start tuning you out. And so nothing gets accomplished, right? You think you shared all your amazing points, but they end up not hearing any of it. And so if you put yourself in their shoes too, you oftentimes know that when someone's talking a lot, you want a chance to be heard and you crave that. And so that's not just you, that's everybody. So this tip is really important. Try to let them do most of the talking and be an active listener so you can get great information from them, understand their point of view more, and maybe use that to influence them rather than just spew out all of your points one after the other, thinking that you made an amazing argument when no one was really listening because you're not hearing them at all. Tip number 3, instead of giving direct orders, even if you're someone's boss, try framing things in a way that is a suggestion. So instead of saying, do this now, you can be like, do you think it'd be a good idea to try it this way so that XYZ can happen? And those are goals that are aligned with something that you care about as well. Because that way you can truly influence long-term behavior change, which should be the goal, right? Like if you just want someone to do it once, fine, you can order them. But if you're a really good leader and a really good boss, you should try to find ways to really influence them and get them to think that it's their ideas and not something that you're just ordering them to do. Because if you're in their shoes, which would you rather prefer? Someone to kind of loop you in and get your take and bring you into the decision-making process for the best solution? Or just order it and force you to do it their way? I know personally I would not like the other way. I like the way where you're at least seems more collaborative, even though they're helping you come to their viewpoint. And finally, tip number 4, and that is use praise carefully and effectively to influence behavior change. This is a big one that he talks about a lot in his book, and there's a lot of many subpoints about it, but I'll just share a few that I remember that really stuck with me. For example, when you're trying to help someone improve and do something better, focus on the good things, and don't forget to give them incremental praise. Every little thing that they accomplish, be sure to celebrate it with them. Because one important thing that does is that it doesn't make them seem like a challenge is too insurmountable. If you're like, no, you're doing it all wrong, you have to learn it all over again, start it all over again, then a lot of people, it's just natural to give up. Be like, I don't even want to try anymore. But if you want to influence them, you should be like, you're not that far. You're doing a great job, and every little piece of success, you can cheer and genuinely celebrate it with them to make them feel like they're not too far and that they've got this and that they can see a path to success. Another point that he makes in this using praise to generate influence section is to give people a reputation to live up to. Like even if they're not truly that reputation right now, you could say something like, oh, you're so well known for your timeliness and your tactfulness. And then they'll not want to let you down, and they'll see that in themselves and try their best to live up to it. This technique really works. It's made a lot of people able to change their behavior if you give them a reputation to live up to that you want to see them change themselves towards. Okay, so everybody, those are my 4 tips. One common strand that I really learned from this book is that empathy is so important. Think about it. If you're in the other person's shoes, how would you like to be communicated with? How would you like to be influenced? What kind of person would you want to befriend? These are so important and so helpful because honestly, the world is not a meritocracy. Just because you have the best skills doesn't mean you'll get where you need to go. Other times, if you really think about it, it's all about navigating interpersonal relationships. And so this book is so helpful. It's a cornerstone book. I really wish I read it decades ago. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Must read for all entrepreneurs. This is Kevin. I hope you join me on the next one. Please sure to subscribe, comment below to ask me any questions. I'll get back to you. I'll catch you guys next time.